Hi, welcome back to Smoking Cheltenham. How you doing? Hope you had a good week last week. Hope you managed to finish the right side. I know many found it tricky. Did we smoke Cheltenham this year? No, we bloody didn't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You might have guessed I weren't so confident this year going in. Um, yeah, look, we had scores where we ended up 192 points on, we got 142 and a bit back, so we lost pretty much 50 points. So last year we made 57, so we're still in profit. I'm sorry, I'm disappointed with that. You right, Blue? Doug's, Doug's come bad for a minute, having a mad minute. So, yeah, look, right, he probably won't like this either, but I did all right. Personally, I kind of made a profit. I am sorry. So I'm trying to square that with how I've done on this sheet, like, you know. And I don't know how I've managed it really. I don't know this. If I go through it right, the things that kind of made a difference, I suppose, you know, the mares, I backed Lossiemouth non-runner no bet at 5-4, and I never put her up on here for our sheet. To be honest, I never thought she'd be running in the mares, but that's probably a mistake by me. It was non-runner no bet. We should have maybe had 5 or 6 points on that. So yeah, that was a mistake. I had plenty of bets through the season, and I don't put them all up here. I tried to play it a bit safer, you know, and I cash out a lot and I trade back a few. If I put all the bets up here that I had, we had any cashing outs or anything, we need like 3 skips, like, you know, for recycling. You know, it'd just be a mess. And I bet sorry, I backed the champion hurdle winner at 66 as golden ace. Literally had like half a point each way on it months ago. You know, I just thought that's a bit big for a place or something. But I never thought, I never put her up here. I think she went out to hundreds a bit after I backed her. You know, she weren't even going to run in this race, was she? And, you know, at no point in the season or even during the race did I think, you know, she was actually going to win. So that made a difference. Sorry. Um, bar that, Grand Annual, I backed Jazzy Matty, but, you know, I didn't decide that till the evening before and I didn't have time to do a video. So I just couldn't get the video out for that one. And yeah, there were a couple of races, you know, like the Champion Chase and the County. I managed to show a small profit on, but I'd back like more than one horse. Whereas on here we just went for the one. They were the ones really that made a big difference, I think. I had a nice each way accumulator, tap on the go. Yeah, that ran on to tap on the go. That made a nice difference to me in the pipe. Um, so a bit of a mix between. I made a few mistakes. I'd say the Gold Cup. The Gold Cup with a big one, and I didn't back the Gold Cup winner, and I should have done, and I got some sort of mental block with that. We took on galloping, didn't we? And yeah, I think it was just I've been all over him for the national all season, and they supplemented him for this, and somehow I just got this mental block with a horse, like and that was the one I thought for me got away. So there's some bits and bats there that would have made a difference, I guess. A mixture of my own mistakes and just Woodoo, back Woodoo at 14s for the pipe, but that were like I watched Take No Chances win, and literally within a few minutes I won Woodoo at 14s for the pipe. By the time I got this video out, she was like half the price, so I just didn't put her up, So a few mistakes from me, sometimes just not having the time to put the video up, and other times, the price had gone on horses before I managed to put the videos up. Okay. So apologies, okay, I'm sorry, and I hope you just ignore me to some extent about your own stuff, and you hopefully did alright. Okay, so that's the post-mortem done with. It is just a game though, remember, it's just a game, we're just betting on horses running around the field here, yeah. I mean, we got a bit unlucky with some, non-runners like Sagino, but look, every time you play ante-post, you're gonna have them. You're gonna have horses you back for the wrong race. You're gonna have horses that don't get there, and then on the week itself, you're gonna have horses chinned on the line. Like that's just the nature of the beast. It happens every year. So no excuses. I should have done better, and hopefully we'll do a bit better for next season. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. So on with the review then. Okay. It were good to soft all 4 days. Okay. We started off with a Michael O'Sullivan Supreme. Kopek de Boards beat William Money a length and 3/4. Romeo Coolio another 5.5 lengths back in third. This were a good time. I ain't gone into loads of depth on a lot of these races, and a lot of them I've only maybe watched once or twice back, so I'll have missed a lot as well. Okay. I'll just give. These are just my thoughts on what we've just witnessed. Okay. So yeah, I thought he were a little keen early. The strong pace suited him here. He were handy, so in third he had him in a lovely posse, didn't he, Paul? He took it up after 2 out. Paul had a little peek, didn't he? Kicked him off that bend. He was chased by William Money. The horse, he was having a good look at the crowd, coming up the straight. Kind of just smashed through the last. But he picked up again, and he won well. He stayed on strongly through the line. I think Connection said he took a bit of pulling up, which were remarkable, really. He chased a strong pace the whole way. He's some horses, he is. He's still only 5. He's a strong, imposing horse. He's still raw, still got a bit to learn. There's much more to come from him. He looks a chaser all over. To me, I'd be saying Arkle for him. But Connections did mention Champion Hurdle too. This is what we've got in the ante-post as well. I'll get to that later when we finished it all. But yeah, for me, if he goes chasing, he's got no respect for the hurdles really. He might respect the fences a bit more, and he's a bit keen, and it might just settle him down. He could make some chaser. If he goes chasing and he takes to it, look no further for the Arkle winner. He's 5-1 at the moment. William Money, I thought, ran a blinder here. He's 7, but he's lightly raced. He's been given plenty of time by his trainer. He's been on a learning curve this season, but he's getting more professional with every run, and this was maybe the first time we've seen the full extent of his ability. He did a lot right here. Arkle next season, and given the certainty of his target, the 16-1 makes some appeal. It does. Except I've just looked and it's 12-1 now. You see, that's another thing. Like I say, this is the problem. Um, First and second win, first time Hoods. Romeo Coolio, he stayed at it well. He just kind of lacked the gears of the first two. He's kind of similar to Firefox. I'd say this were a better race than last year's, and I'd say Romeo Coolio's a better horse than Firefox. He should make a cracking chase, and he could be likely to improve further as well. For further, I'd imagine he'll probably be the Arkle or that Jack Richards next year. Okay. Right, then on to the Arkle. Django Bay beat only by night, 3/4 of a length, with Majbert Shorthead back in third. Yeah, so we started well, banker of the meeting, went in, easy game. Yeah. No. Yeah, Django Bay, he got well outpaced over this trip, before staying on from nowhere. He just came from the back of the telly and he claimed an unlikely looking victory. He's not really a 2-miler, and it says a lot really about the quality of this Arkle in the end that he was able to take it out. He could be a big contender in the Ryanair next season or even a Gold Cup. Yeah, he's fantastic at Aintree, and if he's come out of this okay, you'd say that 2.5 at Aintree would be right up his street. Pardon me. Only night, ran a big race here, did connections proud. Should be going mares next season, and should be a contender there. The way she sort of stayed up the hill would give you some optimism, like that the trip would be okay for her. Majbert, he was the best horse here, weren't he? But we did say he looked like he had a mistake in him, despite what these stat lads were saying about his jumping. Trust your eyes, and ultimately that cost him the race here. The ditch 4 out, 2 out, he were like sat on his arse with it, and that he kind of got going in again and so close to winning really is just testament to his ability, and he were far better than these really. He's still only 5. I imagine there's plenty more to come. Could improve loads up in trip if there's less pressure on his jumping, but he kind of is low and quick. He sort of jumps like a 2-miler, just not quite well enough, but he's only 5. In reality, he could end up anywhere, take your pick. He could end up in a champion chase, a Ryanair, or even a Gold Cup, Right, Ultima. Mayertown beat the Changing Man 11 here. Led all the way, threw in some fantastic leaps. None better than the last. Absolutely winged the last. He's a lightly raced 8-year-old. He's making giant strides. 3 from 5 now. Took this off 127. He'll have gone up plenty for this. I haven't checked, but yeah, he will have done. He'd look a likely type for the Hennessy or National, that sort of horse. May get thrown into Grade 1 company even at Aintree. 3-mile novice there may not be so strong. The Changing Man, yeah, look, he was always handy. I was getting quite excited for our chances coming down the hill, but the winner just kicked on again and left him for dust. He ran well. He did run well here. He just bumped into one that was thrown in. Melina Girl did best out of the sort of hold-up horses here. this were a return to form for her. She stayed on very well after the last. She could be ready to strike off a mark, given a bit more emphasis on stamina, you know. Grade 1 mare's hurdle. She's good, isn't she? Lossiemouth beat Jade Grugy 7.5. Take no chances. Another length and 3/4 back in third. Some of what I might say might upset some people. I don't know. I'm just telling my own sort of views at that. Yeah, look, she bolted in here, didn't she? Different class to these. She's 4 from 4 at Cheltenham now. Would she have won the champion hurdle? Yeah, she would have done, wouldn't she, as things transpired. Would Jade have won the mares if she were the champion hurdle? Yeah, most probably. She'd have had Golden Ace to beat, you know. But yeah, maybe. But there you go. I'm sort of telling myself Golden Ace might have chinned Jade Grugy and the double would have been down at least, but we'll see. We'll never know, but it makes me feel better. Look, I'll back her for champion hurdle again next year. If I put her up on here or not, I don't know, but I'll be on her. I will. You know, I can't get on at Coles and Ladbrokes last to look. She's 8th there, which is a fair bit bigger than everyone else. This is going to change, you see. They've got to change this, haven't they? And I think they're going to. I'd say she's like 101 to running champion next year, because I don't think they'll kind of allow her to run here, almost, you know. I suspect they're going to do that, what's been suggested. I think Rick Maloney, the honeysuckle guy, you know, he suggested making this a grade 2 with like a big penalty. You might have a £10 grade 1 penalty or something, you know. Just that would probably force horses like Lossiemouth into the champion hurdle while still keeping the race at Cheltenham. I'd say that's the most likely thing that's going to happen here. But yeah, she's classic. She is. Jade Grugy, look, she ran a fine race, you know. Just bumped into a bit of a superstar. She were meant to go chasing this season, so possibly go chasing next year. I'm sure one of Cargeese and this girl, one of them will go chasing, and the other will come here. It were meant to be Jade Grugy, but she had a little problem, so you know, Willie might think it's best to keep, you know, it might be easier to keep her sound over hurdles and sing Cargeese chasing. But he were sending Jade Grugy chasing, so I wouldn't know. I'd say maybe more likely she is to go chasing and Cargeese will come here, but I couldn't say for sure. Jayus, yeah, on the face of it, she got kind of found out in this grade and did weaken over the trip. But as I mentioned before, Nicky's had horses like Binocular, Bouffard, Epitante, who I think she's loosely related to, beat at Cheltenham before improving hugely the next season and taking out the champion hurdle. I think there's a lot more to come from her back at 2 Mile. I think we'll see a good horse next season. Champion hurdle then. Golden Ace beat Burdett Road 9 with Winterfog a length and a half back in third. A nice tri-cast if you had some sort of premonition this. I might lose viewers for this or whatever, but I don't know. Is karma a thing? You've got to be in it to win it, I think the owner said, didn't he, after? I thought that were good. How true. Yeah, look, this is the most dramatic champion hurdle I've ever witnessed, and yeah, I've never seen a race like this, or champion hurdle. Constitution Hill came down 4 out. Brighter Days Head did clip it, and the hurdle did come back on him. But that happens, doesn't it? Maybe you could give him a pass for that, maybe. But, you know, when, it's kind of been coming with him, hasn't it? It has, you know. We have pointed out he's jumping a little this season. You know, even when he won the champion hurdle, he took a chance at the last there, took off a mile before, didn't he? At Kempton, halfway round, he did the same again, took off a mile before one. Last time he got the last wrong, didn't he? Probably more jockey error, but it's there. And just with that low, fast style, you always wondered, and it happened. But look, thankfully he got up. You know, it could have been a lot worse when they go in some pace, these horses, they live on the edge, these 2 mile hurdlers. So thankfully he's fine, you know, he lives to fight another day. So yeah, this champion hurdle left a lot more questions than answers, didn't it really? We still don't know if Lozymal's a champion hurdler. We don't know if Constitution Hill's back to his best yet. Brighter Days Head just blew out, and State Man looked good. Yeah, we know about as much as we did before, really. You know, I'd say Brighter Days Head. Yeah, look, Elliott's they didn't go off the pace I expected them to here. I thought, yeah, she never looked quite the same horse. That were a big performance last time. Maybe that just sort of bottomed her for the season. But the fact remains now, her 2 worst runs have come at Cheltenham. You know, you just wonder, don't you? She's just not a Cheltenham horse. Put it this way, I'd have to take her on next year. I think I'd imagine she'd be a short price, because she'll probably just mop up in Ireland if she goes fencing, which I think she will. Yeah, she'd have to be one I'd be against, I think, on that basis. State Man, look, with his main 2 rivals blowing out, the race were just at his mercy, weren't it? You know, he travelled sweetly in those first time cheap pieces. I think this were a much better State Man than we've seen for a good while. You know, it's hard to say how good, just because how the race fell apart, but visually he did look a lot better, didn't he? But he came down at the last, didn't he? He did. Which left Golden Ace to claim an unlikely looking victory. You know, this were brilliant for Jeremy Scott and his team, though, it were. And, you know, she's become something of a giant slayer, hasn't she, at Cheltenham? There's no doubt she were only hurt because Lozymal wasn't. He who dares, you know. Yeah, and there's no doubt really Lozymal, I don't care what they say, Lozymal were only there in the mares because Brighter Days wasn't. You know, they can say, you know, apparently she were working fine, and then, you know, after she went for the mares she weren't working fine, and whatever, they can say whatever they like. If Brighter Days Ahead weren't there, were there, she'd have been in the champion. And, you know, but yeah, I think they're going to change that, hopefully, and we'll not have all this in future, hopefully. Fred Winter, then. Put Your Hands Together, beat Robbie's Rock by 6. I love this race. It's a great race, isn't it? It's Fred Winter. What a race, yeah. Yeah, look, he was really impressive here. You know, one Smart got him straightened up on that near side rail. He did a fair impression of his dad, Garavaggio. You know, he absolutely just sprinted up the hill. He were well suited by this sort of better ground, and it'll be interesting to see if he can build on this. Cool one. Our other dart at this, 50-1. he were running a blinder. I'd say he looked sure to be involved. I think we'd have been all right top six. I think, but he unseated two out. You know, he didn't jump great, to be fair, most of the way round. But we're going well enough. Like, it was strange. I was watching this between like 3 out and 2 out. The jockey appeared to be kind of reaching behind. I don't know if he had an itch or something. I don't know what was going on there. You need someone like Ruby or someone to tell you. But yeah, it seemed very odd that. And yeah, then he just unseated. Wendrock took the eye with a strong finish. You know, you'd say up in trips handicaps next season. Be interesting. You know, Mark kind of looked high enough here, but yeah, ran well. Right then, 3 mile 6 novice handicap chase that closed the card. How to beat? Haiti Couleurs beat Rock My Way 4.5. Two horses just stood out to me through the whole race here. You know, the winner, Haiti Couleurs, and the other one was Now Is the Hour. Haiti Couleurs were handy all the way, jumped and travelled well. You know, just a wonderfully uncomplicated horse, this. Just jumps, travels, stays. 3 from 4 now over fences. Took this off 135 and has got up 7 to 142. Absolutely bang ideal type for the Hennessy, this. You know, it often suits handy horses. You could sort of say the same for Mayertown too, and they handle good to soft great, which it often is. But the Hennessy just seems to have got out of fashion. It's not really a race, you know, people target anymore. But if one of these were targeted at that, you know, yeah, it'd be good for it, I'd say. Now is the hour. He was getting a patient ride, and he just took the eye, travelling strongly through the race. He was off the bridle turning in, but he were responding and plenty close enough still. When Haiti Couleurs kind of jumped across him 2 out, that kind of distracted him, I think, and he came down. You know, Haiti Couleurs ran all the way through the line, but the race would be in imbalance at that point. This horse, Now Is the Hour, you know, they can take this into account. I think his English mark has gone from 139 to 141. I think that's his English mark. I'm not sure what in Ireland. He was rated 135 in Ireland coming in here. If he's only gone up a couple to 137 or so, you know, he's very unexposed over fences, and he could well have a big pot in him. If he's come out of this all right, something like the Irish National could be a good target for him. I think he's quite prominent in the betting there. Don't know what the plans are, but he's an horse I think to keep on side. Now is the hour. Right then, Wednesday, Grade 1 Turners, 2 mile 5. The New Lion beat the Yellow Clay 3/4 of a length. Final Demand, another 4 3/4 back in third. I knew deep down I'd got this wrong, I did. But yeah, I made a few mistakes this week, I did, I think, you know. It's all woulda, coulda, shoulda, after, it's always the same, but yeah, I think I kind of knew this might happen. Quality race this though, weren't it? It were, you know, the big 3 came clear here, the right 3 horses. It should work out well, this. The New Lion remains unbeaten. Champion hurdle next season. Big contender, you know. The Yellow Clay enjoyed the better ground, justified Gordon's faith in him, ran an absolute screamer. I kind of look at him and I think a Stayers horse, like, hurdler more than a chaser, but I don't know, maybe he'll go chasing. Yeah, be a big contender for the Stayers or the Browns next season. Final Demand couldn't go with the front 2 after the last. but it's quality form this, and he's ran well. He's a big chasing type, you know. There's loads of depth and scope to him. Historically, these types have just like that gear here needed. He's going to be a serious 3 mile chaser. He's built like a tank, he is. You know, he does remind me of Denman, you know. You know, the Yellow Clay win his 3rd season full training here. You know, this fella it's his 1st full season, and this was just his 3rd race course start. He's going to improve hugely for 3 mile and fences. You know, he's going to be something. I think he's going to be a bit special. I do. He'll take out the Moriarty or whatever it's called next year at the DRF, and he'll come here as, I think, odds-on favourite. You know, we'll get to it, but I've topped up on him for the Browns. He's like my number 1 ante-post bet, really. You know, but we'll cover him right at the end a bit more. But to me, that's the only race he'd be going for, which is a big help. Price is a shade skinny, and he may get done at Punchestown again. I'd imagine he'll go the 2.5, and if he meets the Yellow Clay there and the ground's sort of goodish again. Yellow Clay ran well at Punchestown last season. I'd fancy he'd probably put this fellow away again. So then maybe you'd be getting a bigger price. So I've had a bit more on him at the 6s. In fact, mate, I've talked about it a bit now, haven't I? So, yeah, even for our purposes, we'll have another 2 points. So we've got 5 points at 6-1 now. If he goes to a bigger price after Punchestown, we'll have another 3 points on him. We will. I like this horse. He'll take out the Browns next season and then the Gold Cup the year after. Okay. Right then, 40 Coats. Considering the strength of this race, you know, he 150s here. He ran a big race in 4th. Possibly a little flattered because he were allowed to drift back, you know, while all the others were at it. And then he didn't really ask him for everything till like the bottom of the hill. But he did stay on well. He's for Mocha 142 now, which looks a shade high maybe, but he's one to keep an eye on because he's going to make a lovely sort of chasing type, and he might have to do well to get him under the 145, but he could make it into like a Kim Muir or a 3 mile 6 handicap horse for next year. Right, 3 mile grade 1 Browns. Yeah, this is a race. You know, there are a few results just boggle my head. I know some people like Lecky Watson, but after the way he jumped last time, to me, he just couldn't get in close and pop. And this were a race. You know, I took on quite a few of these favourites this week, and I don't know how I managed to get Ballyburn meet and miss the winner here. I don't, but I did. Lecky Watson, he beat Stella Story 4 with Better Days ahead back in 3rd. There's quite a lot to unpack from this race. It was very slowly ran early on, and I think the form might not stand up well here. It could get shuffled about a little. Maybe, I don't want to be too unfair on the winner. He did jump great here. He did, Stella Story, the pace of the race and the ground were against him, but his jumping's improved all the way. And, he could run well in a Gold Cup. You could see him, staying on into a sort of 3rd or something in a Gold Cup. He's just, the further they go, the better for this fella. He'd stayed 10 mile. His breeding's like all stamina. Prefer cutting the ground. Better Days Ahead. Now, Gordon said this horse wanted some pace to chase, and then he took the pace out of the race by not running Croke Park. Team Mullins here, they dictated a slow pace to try and set it up for Ballyburn's speed, and that counted against Gordon's horses here, I'd say. I'd say he can do better than this, you know, given a stronger pace and more cutting the ground. But I think ultimately I could see him again coming sort of third or fourth in a Gold Cup, but it might be a bit like Monty Star, you know, just not quite at that level. But given the right circumstance, I think he can improve on this form. Gorgeous Tom, this should have set up well for him, really, you know, with a slow early pace, and you know, he had that 2.5 mile speed. I'd say he kind of had his limitations exposed here, was a little disappointing. Ballyburn, he was just too keen, weren't he? His jumping's not good enough, and he still only got beat 8.5. Yeah, I'm not sure how good this race were really in the end. I don't know what they do with him. I don't. There's, you know, you'd say Stayers hurdle, but he weren't staying on well from the back of the last. He'd have to settle better, wouldn't he, if they go back over hurdle? I just don't know. I just don't know. It's a good horse in there somewhere, isn't there, now? But Dancing City, he made a mistake 3 out. He was kind of disappointing here. Cheltenham, I don't think's his track. You know, when you look at last season, I suspected that, but he could bounce back, you know, as he did last year. So he's one to look for in the remainder of the season, I'd say. Kay de Bourbon, he was still well in it when he unseated 4 out. You know, you have to jump the fences, and he did make a mistake earlier on at the 5th. His jumping is improving, but he's got to improve a bit more yet. And he's only 6, and it was a shame that the mistake came where it did, because I think he could improve a lot for 3 miles, and we were just about to find that out, you know, if he would or not. We didn't. I still think there's a lot of potential there. He'd be like a very dark horse, you know, for the Gold Cup. He's only 6 still. You know, I think Album Photo, he you know, he were decked here, weren't he, in a Browns, and come back and won a Gold Cup. So, you know, he's still worth keeping an eye on, I'd say, Kay de Bourbon. Okay. I didn't say, did I, at the beginning, you need a flask, you need 2 flasks here. It's yeah, sorry, I forgot, yeah. So if you want to pause me and get one, because you know, we've got plenty more to go. Yeah, I'm thinking it might be an hour and a half, this, you know. It's a big one, this. Right, 2 bar 5 Coral Cup. Yeah, I mean, our bullets, Comfort Zone ran terrible. We got 20s. He was smashed into like 11-2. Ran no race. The other fella didn't do much better, did he? Forget him, but yeah. Jimmy Desai, he beat Imposed Toy 3. We Bally Adam. Yeah, he's a good place put horse in here at Cheltenham. Another length back in 3rd. I ain't got too much to say about this race, really. The winner won well. Could make up into possibly a Stayers or Brown sort of type next season. I just like that class, but yeah. Cross country, Stumped Down beat Late Night past 7. Again, not much to say here, you know. I would say they've changed it into an handicap, and watching this, it didn't make much difference, did it? I think they only like tootle around in the middle, and yeah, the weight doesn't seem to affect them too much. So that's something to bear in mind for next season. If you're on the 3rd here, Vanillier, I'd say you can count yourself unlucky, you know. I mean, well, he went from leading to he went the wrong way, didn't he, and ended up like last, and then charged home for 3rd. Surely he'd have gone close here, you know. Yeah. Right then. Grade 1 2 mile champion chase. Marine National beat John Bon 18 here. 18, yeah. This were the biggest winning distance of the week, I think, yeah. It still looked in the balance when Quilixios came down at the last, you know. There's a suspicion, for me anyway, that the winner might not find too much like in a dogfight. But then again, the way he kind of sprinted up the hill, I think on balance, you'd have to give him the benefit of doubt and say we're going to be an impressive winner regardless. Fine training performances from Barry Connell, you know, to get this horse back to something like his best here and produce him in tip-top form on the day. He's 7-1 to defend his title. That looks more than fair. You know, that's not bad. Henry's got some record in this race, hasn't he? He has. And, you know, he's produced a few shocks here in the past. And Quilixios looked to be running like a lifetime best, I'd say, when coming down at the last. John Bon, yeah, he again failed to produce his best at the festival. A bad mistake at the 9th, effectively putting him out of the contest. This was like big chance, weren't it? You know, he'll be 10 next year. I think he could be interesting in a King George if Nicky goes that way next year. He did that with Shishkin, didn't he? We'll see. But again, yeah, don't know what he's about the place. Like I said, I think he kind of likes to bully them a little, and like he just, when they go a really quick pace, maybe he just gets out of that rhythm a little bit, you know. Which is kind of just the little niggle about the King George as well. But yeah, is there more to life than meets the eye, you know? I'd say so. I mean, this was incredible, weren't it, really? You know, this fella won at fives, and yeah, the other guy 15-2. You know, the stats lads will tell you that's a 50-1 chance. It's unlikely. It's bang on 50-1 as well. Quite strangely, yeah. Unlikely, but, you know, mathematically a perfectly plausible occurrence, this, you know. That these two horses returned, you know, 2 years on from providing Michael with his career highlight on that day one double. You know, to come back to run on the same day in, I think, consecutive races and win, it's just a thing of wonder, isn't it, you know. Despite what modern society might have you think, you know, it's absolutely fine to think the greater forces may be at play, you know, sometimes. This was an emotional day for friends and family of Michael, and it may have been some comfort to them that his memory is like permanently etched into the minds of the millions who just watched the day's events unfold here. Unbelievable stuff it were. He just, there's no words, is there? It's yeah. So yeah, the second leg of this double in the Grand Annual Jazzy Matty, you know, it might be a little unfair to Kean Collins, you know, and Danny Gilligan to give all the credit to Michael and the big man there, you know. He beat Unexpected Party a length and a half. He looked on a lovely mark for this, didn't he? He loves Cheltenham, jumped and travelled great here. Unexpected Party, he was produced in great shape by Dan, and he only just gave best to like a better handicap rival here. Right, the bumper then. This went well, didn't it? Bambino Fever beat Heads Up a length and a half. Shuttle Diplomacy another length and a half back in third. Told you my dad were good with these. He is. We'll have some laugh next year with this bumper, we will. We'll have millions queuing up to watch the announcement, like, you know. My dad gives us his bumper roast next year. Yeah, great result this. Great ride from Jodie. I think she'd been well tutored in how to ride this race, and she gave her a peach. She did, you know, perfectly positioned, sort of mid div to rear out wide. She brought her up that stand side with like a perfectly timed run, and won comfy here, won well. She's still unbeaten. You'd imagine it's the Mares Novice Hurdle next season. Only one firm's price open, she's 4-1. Yeah, I think Maureen were the same price this time last year, and that didn't go so well, did it? But yeah, she's cracking mare anyway, you know, one to follow. Heads up, yeah, gallant attempt this to make all. He's got a lovely looking pedigree. Blue Brazil out of a presenting mare should make a classy kind of novice for John McConnell. Shuttle Diplomacy ran a screamer. This was his first start since May, you know. He only beat 3 here. He were 2 from 2 until disappointing at Punchestown. I'd say he'd appreciate more cutting the ground, and he'll be a nice novice hurdler for Thomas Cooper. El Kairos, he wants marking up for this effort. He were continually leaned on by Shuttle Diplomacy. He's going to make a nice novice for the Moors. There were a stack of fine future staying prospects in behind. He Can't Dance. No drama this end. Copacabana, Calypso, Chance and Gamer Inches, who finished in that order. Gamer Inches, I think Willie suggested maybe going straight chasing next year. He's 6 already. But yeah, some lovely sort of future prospects there. I really do like He Can't Dance as well still. He's going to make a cracking horse next year, I think. He might find his way into the Albert Bartlett, I guess. Right then, so that's Wednesday, halfway through. Thursday then. Oh. It's always at least one, isn't there? You know, there's always one race that's just like gut-wrenching, you know, soul-destroying. It wouldn't be Cheltenham otherwise, would it? You know, you've got to have one of these. And it was this, I think, you know. Yeah, grade 2, 2 mile 1, dawn run, Mares Novice Hurdle. Air of Entitlement beat 6.5, half a length here with Diva Luna, a further 6 lengths back in third. I could have happily gone the rest of my life without having to watch this race again. But I did it just for you, you know. Air of Entitlement, I'd say, benefited from a more patient ride than the runner-up. That's my views, these. More often than not, it does pay to come from behind in this contest. They do tend to go quick up front here. Cracking ride from Rachel, this it were. Bless her. She had to save it for this, didn't she? She's a fine, big, scopy mare. You know, plenty more to come from her. Could be a big contender for the Mares Hurdle next year. Extra 3 furlong will be right up her street. But she could go chasing as well, looking at her, I'm not sure. But yeah, she's a cracking prospect, she is. 6.5. It just looked the winner everywhere, didn't he? She, yeah, winner everywhere. Jumped, travelled, very classy lady here. She were big at the last, maybe cost her a little bit of energy. She could have done with conserving. But she weren't really stopping, you know, she were coming away from the rest. She just got nailed in the shadows here by a better horse on the day. Caroline Bamboo ran a fine race, improved for softer ground. Maureen, yeah, just lost all chance at the start. That was a shame, you know. Yeah, I think they were a big syndicate there, looking forward to that, and yeah, a bit of an anticlimax for them there, you know, so, but she'll make a nice horse. I think she could be possibly going chasing as well. She looks chasing type. Right, so I always get plenty wrong, and there were some results that I got really wrong this week that just boggled my head a bit, and this were another one. 2 mile 4.5 grade 2 novice handicap chase. Yeah, Caldwell Potter beat anyway 6.5. Yeah, Caldwell Potter. If you'd offered me 25s before the race for a fiver, I'd have said I'd keep my fiver, honestly. But he was different class here. He led start to finish, jumped and travelled great. I'd say handicaps are out now. He'll be going graded route. Could make up into Ryanair or Gold Cup horse, even, I guess. A lot of credit has to go to Paul Nicholls here. He's reportedly not easy to train, although I'm not sure. You never know. It might be like the Langadan stomach ulcers. Like, I don't know. But yeah, we'll take him for his word. He's apparently has problems with his feet, this horse. Not sure the form in behind, to be honest. More part. I mean, the second anyway ran a huge race at 150 to 1 and maybe going Irish National. Omar Park could be one to follow up in trips, maybe in handicaps. Nürburgring Galway Plate ran a fine race here. I think they'll be going for the double, you know. So remember, come summertime, Galway Plate, Nürburgring. Answer to Cave, I'd say, found the ground too lively. Plenty of stamina in his pedigree. Could be another one for like the Irish National or something. He's, you know, yeah, still want to keep an eye on Answer to Cave. 3 mile Pertemps handicap. Dodie the Great beat Jericho de Rapini a length and 3/4. Again, not too much to say here, really. Second, look to throw it away to some degree. You won't be trusting him in a finish, I don't think. The feet of a dancer were big Dartfords, didn't we? We did it each way, so she got us the place part back. No harm done. They interviewed Paul Nolan on ITV just before the race, and he seemed very negative on her chances, much to my dismay. You know, he kind of almost said really she'd just not travelled over well. That's what I took from it anyway. She were given plenty to do here, you know, and I think she were kind of getting a very considerate ride, and maybe that were why, you know. Stayed on like really well to the line to be beaten never near 4 or 5 lengths in fourth, like. So yeah, we at least got the place money back anyway. Considering she maybe didn't enjoy the travelling, I'd say she's still well handicapped. I was kind of looking through the calendar a bit. If she were mine, I'd have a big red ring around the 3 mile handicap hurdle at the DRF next year. You know, that's worth about the same as this, about 60,000. Yeah, that would. So, you know, I'll see you before then. But yeah, that's what I'd be doing anyway. Will the Wise, I'd say this came sort of quick enough on top of his win 3 mile heavy like 3 weeks before. I thought he ran well in the circumstances. I'd say there's plenty more to come from him over fences next year. There's plenty of stamina in his pedigree, and he's got a mark of 134 over here. Gavin might just lay out this boy for that 3 mile 6 novice handicap on the first day. He kind of looks perfect for it to me. You heard it here first, okay? Yeah, we're picking out the handicap winners like for next year. Never mind the graded races. Yeah. It turns out I had a bit more to say about that race than I thought, I suppose. Alright, yeah, 2 mile, 4.5, grade 1, Ryanair. Factor File beat Artwood 9 and Royalen and 8.5 length back in third. This were quick time. Lump job. We did actually only have 5 points on him, didn't we? But yeah, please gamble responsibly and all that. Yeah, look, this were a fantastic performance, you know. This, to me, is what he is. He was allowed to, use his high cruising speed and attack his fences, and he just blew this field apart. He was sent on, turning in. He cleared away, on the snaff. He was just brilliant. He jumped great, a little bit to his right, you know. With JP having the now reigning Gold Cup champion and Mashborough and Spillane's Tower, I think this lad's more likely to turn up in a champion chase than he is a Gold Cup. I do. He's not slow, you know. It's not insane to suggest champion chase. It's not. But this looks bang on for him, I'd say. And if he turns up here again next year, given a fair wind, you know, he'll be a lump job again. He will. Okay. Hartwood ran well for us to bring up the forecast. You know, this race went well for us. I'd say this were career best. He suited him bang on this, and he beat the rest well. He just lacks that class of the winner, you know. Right, 3 mile grade 1 Stayers hurdle. Bob Ollinger beat Teapot a length and 3/4 with the Wall Park another 8 length back in third. You've got to love Bob. You've got to. I'm not matching, but I was shouting him on, you know. He's unbeaten at Cheltenham. He's a 10-year-old, so that were a red line through him for me. But he defied that. Beautiful ride from Rachel, this, you know. In rear for much of the race, moved up travelling powerfully down the hill. She drawn a big bullseye on the back of Teapot, and yeah, produced upsides at the last and fairly sprinted up the hill. Some horse, you know. Another one that boggled my head, but I don't mind my head being boggled sometimes. Teapot, he did nothing wrong here, he didn't, and he himself sprinted away from the rest. He wasn't stopping, he just got done for toe by a quicker horse. Rocky's Diamond, he ran a brave race to be beat around 10 lengths. He's still only 5, he's still on an upward curve. He'll be back next year as a big contender, all being well. Right then, 2 mile 4.5 plate. Jaguar beat the Company Sergeant 2 3/4. Looked a 2-horse race this from some way out to my eyes. Jaguar, he kind of belied my worries about his jumping. I just thought he looked quite raw, and I thought his jumping just might not stand up to this, but it did. You know, he's only a 6-year-old, and there's plenty more to come from him. You know, it'll be interesting to see how high he can fly. You know, he looks like a graded horse to me. The Company Sergeant, yeah, look, he wound out at this. He ran a blinder, he just bumped into one, you know. He was clearly well handicapped, and yeah, you know, beat the rest well, just bumped into one there, you know. Kim Muir, Daily Present beat Johnny Who a neck. My dad won Johnny Who. I felt for him here. I'm sure some of you guys were as well. Sam Majest, yeah, another 11 length back in third. You'd have to be gutted if you won Johnny Who. he looked all over the winner, didn't he? But he got done by a great ride, I'd say, from Barry Thomas Stone. You know, it was a lovely, patient ride round the inside, producing perfectly at the last to challenge. Funny enough, the winner did get beat by like our daughter, Nine Graces, last time, but she never looked to be going well or jumping. I'd say back in Ireland, she's one to look for, maybe on softer ground. On to the Friday then. 2 mile 1, Grade 1 Triumph. Another mind boggler, this. Poddy Ross beat Lalamba a neck. Poddy Ross, yes, that's right. There is a horse called Poddy Ross, apparently. East India Dock, another 3/4 length back in third. 100-1. First run over hurdles. This were an absolute skinner for the bookies. It were. You know, it's a huge betting race on the Friday of the Gold Cup, and they kept all the money. All of it. The bastards, they did. You know. The winner had good flat form, you know. He jumped poorly here. He must have some engine. I've no idea about this horse. He might never win a race again, or he might win the champion hurdle. I'm absolutely clueless. I don't know. Lalamba, I always felt like he was getting there, you know, to East India Dock. But in truth, he never actually got to the front, you know. He didn't. I don't know with this race, this is just my view, but I'd say maybe it weren't such a great triumph as it turned out, you know. I think Lalamba's much the best of these going forward. He's a nice horse, but he's no like Sergino. But I reserve the right to change my mind. That's just my initial thoughts, you know. Maybe I'm way off there. County then, 2 mile 1 County. Cargeese beat and Derby a length and a half. Cargeese, she's got some classy Grade 1 form. Paul won her, she was the favourite. Back to normality this race, weren't it, you know. She was still keen early, you know. She didn't drop it really to around the second, but she just killed them for speed round the bend, you know, round the bottom of the hill, and she won the race there. She stayed at it well after that. The mare's is 3 furlong further on an easier track. I think she'll get it. I do, especially, you know, she should settle a little better for another year on her back. And if pardon me, if she does get it, her speed will be a potent weapon there, you know. But could possibly go chasing. Absurd probably just needed this. Ethical Diamond is a little better than this, you know. Held up last of all, made ground probably in the hottest part of the race. Came down the sort of maybe unfavoured far side and then just faded a bit close home. There's probably a race in Ethical Diamond, but I wouldn't say he's like thrown in, but yeah, he could pick up a race, you know. A fair bit probably went against him here. The last three were Lark in the Morning, Valgrand and McClory. I'm sure some people probably had that as a tricast, like, you know, and they were the last three. I'd say McClory will make a nice chase. Yeah, he's still one to keep in mind. Right, and Grade 2, 2 mile 4.5 mares chase. Dino Blue beat Bridesville 8.5. This race just fell apart, didn't it? Before, you know, they lined up. It looked a really poor renewal to me, and I don't think this was deserving of its sort of prime time slot on the Friday. Dino Blue were standout really, you know. This I took on a lot of favourites, and this is one I probably shouldn't have took on, to be fair. I'd say the SP 6-4 were probably generous, you know. In truth, she were probably a 4-6 shot. Yeah, she made no mistake here. Always looked in control of the race and made it fourth time lucky. She'd have a big chance if coming back again next year, you'd say, but she is 8 and she'll be a valuable broodmare, so, you know, they could have thoughts on retirement, I don't know. Brideshill ran well, and probably a lifetime best. Allegory ran well, you know, she got the last door wrong, but for second at the time. Right then, 3 mile 1, 3 mile grade 1, Albert Bartlett, novice hurdle. Yeah, got this one completely wrong, you know. I've always been honest with you, I do get plenty wrong, and yeah, I got this one wrong. Jasmine DeVoe beat the Big Westerner 2.5 lengths. Derias and Paddy another 4.5 lengths back in third. Jasmine held up last, jumped poorly, you know. 2 out, Darrett appeared to make a poor decision to me. You know, we all make mistakes. I've made loads, you know, but I think this was a mistake. He probably wouldn't mind admitting. He looked to try and get up Jack's inside on wingmen. The gap were never really there. Wingmen made a mistake. Darrett had to snatch up, and Wendigo kind of went into the back of him. Meanwhile, Paul was merrily making his way around the outside, making serene progress, and away from all the trouble. It looked between Jasmine and Big Westerner coming to the last. Jasmine winged it. Yeah, he did. Best jump he's ever put in. I think he just nodded a little bit, but yeah, he flew it really, and he cleared away for a cozy success. Basically, he's done a couple of staying chases for toe here. He's got gears, but he stays, and his speed is a potent weapon at this trip. He loves the hill. 2 from 2 at Cheltenham. I thought watching this has got a massive chance in the Stayers hurdle next year. But Willie did mention chasing. Yeah, so, I mean, it don't look like a chaser to me, but sometimes they can surprise you, can't they? Yeah, if he were to stay over hurdles and go the Stayers route, I'd like him a lot. The Big Westerner ran a huge race in defeat. Looks a cracking prospect, you know, for fencers. Got all the size and scope you'd want, you know. Derias and Paddy, similar comments apply. Really likeable, big strapping chasing sort this. Yeah, he looks a fair bet to be the #1 English contender for that Browns next season, I'd say. Wendigo deserves marking up for this, you know. Done no favours, we got hampered there. Ballybow, sorry, jumping. His jumping made Jasmine look like a champion hurdler. You know, it was that bad. Beat from the second, really, but he'll, you know, plenty of good horses have blown out here and made nice chases. I'd say he'll make a lovely 3 mile chase, so, you know, he'll be a nice horse next season over fences. Right then, yeah, 3 mile 2.5, the big one, Cheltenham Gold Cup. I know the way you're thinking. Beat Galloping Deschamps 6, Gentleman's Game, another 12 lengths back in third. Personally, this is the one that got away from me. I should have been on this fella. I should have done. This were a very fast time, you know. I think I let us down here a bit. This is probably the one I feel a bit bad about. You know, we kind of took on Galloping in the end, and we should have been on him. We should have been. My mistake. Apologies. I say we were all aiming for the national. He got supplemented for this, and I think I just kind of got some sort of mental block there with it. I don't know. Just fluid enough with my thinking on this occasion with this race. I thought Galloping looked in trouble before the first, really. Very early he just didn't look on it. He weren't in Paul's hands. His jumping were kind of sketchy for him. Monty Starr made a uncharacteristic mistake at the ninth, a big one. Rachel did well to sit there. Neither him or Galloping were done any favours when Ahoy Senor did his thing and come down. They kind of were forced a bit wide there. But it made no difference, though, to the result. Running down the hill, Paul had got Galloping there, and he looked to have everything in trouble behind, didn't he? But as soon as they sort of reached the bottom of the hill and swung for home, I know the way you're thinking, latched onto the bridle, travelling strongly. A length behind him or so, 2 out. He wore Galloping down between the last two, winged the last, and just stormed up the hill to dethrone the king. Yeah, his jumping isn't the best, particularly early, but it's hugely improved. He's getting better all the time, and he adores this hill. The power this horse has from the last to the line is just something to behold. We've seen it in all his races now. Incredible. Personally, I think it's probably on balance the right decision not to go for the national for this horse. I think he'd have won it. He won the Kim Muir last year as a 6-year-old on the top weight, bottomless ground, and then bounced out and won at Aintree in a Grade 1. I think he'd have won it, but I can see why they're looking after him. He's a proper Gold Cup horse. He's still only 7. He should be at his peak next year as an 8-year-old. And granted a fair wind, he's going to take some whacking next year, he is, And he probably prefers softer ground as well, I think they're right to mind him, I do, And he may not even go to Punchestown, they may just put him away, 5-1 for next year's Gold Cup. I think that's very fair, I do. Yeah, that's fair, it is. Galloping, no, Galloping. I know everybody wanted him to win, but it's very hard, very, very hard to win 3 Gold Cups, that's why it's been so rarely achieved. Best Mate did it. Best Mate were very special. I think Best Mate is still underrated, He were brilliant, Best Mate, on his 2nd Gold Cup, but his 3rd Gold Cup he were out on his feet at the end of it, and he were getting closed down fast by Sir Rembrandt. He was minded too, Henrietta did everything she could to save the mileage in his legs, Galloping, though, has not been minded, Galloping is a war horse. He is, he's been to every battle, he's danced every dance. He were never happier, and it's testament, really, to his courage and his class that he looked for moments coming down that hill like he was going to take it out and then bring up the hat trick. He went out on his shield here, he did. He'll be a 10-year-old next year. Now, but he's not finished yet. You never know, do you? Look at the Champion Hurdle this year. Strange things can happen, this week. But, I'd say he's not finished yet, and he could still have a big day or two in him. He'll probably get beat at Punchestown, he'll probably get beat in the John Durkin. But remember him at Christmas time, back at his beloved Leopardstown. the roof will come off the stands if he can take out a third Savills, and I wouldn't like to be betting against that, you know. Gentleman's Game ran a blinder for Mouse. He did. Monty Star, on another day, I think could have come third or something, you know. He's fantastic jumper. That mistake took a bit out of him, I'd say. But that's about as good as he is, I think, you know. Okay. Right, 3 mile 2.5 hunters. Wonderwall beat It's on the Line and Neck. I've not got much to say on this one, really. It's on the Line managed to find a way to lose it again, you know. Thankfully I weren't on him this time, but I weren't on the winner either. I'd say Angel's Dawn probably found the ground a shade lively, but Curling got the winner anyway, didn't he? So yeah, did well there with Wonderwall. And then lastly, 2 mile 4.5 Martin Pipe. Woodoo beat Active Authority 4 1/4. Raglan Road another 4.5 leg back in third, and a Tap on the Go a further 1.5 behind him in fourth. I did my usual trick in this race, right? With a TriCast, always have a little pop at the TriCast. I hit the first, third and fourth here, and I know when I was typing it into 365 it paid over £6 for a pound, like, yeah, first, third and fourth. That was another mistake, to be fair, when I came on here and I put up, halfway through meeting, didn't I put up that Mullins horse as a second bet. I should have put up Raglan Road each way, because I did play him each way at 66s, but he weren't. I know I've talked about him plenty, so you may have picked up on Raglan Road for this, but yeah, I should have stuck with him really, and he ran a blinder here. Woodoo, they couldn't live with her turn of foot around the bottom of the hill, you know. She's still only 5, she's won this easy. Like Cargeese, she was rated 141 coming in here, and she's still only 5. She's still unbeaten. We don't know how good she is, you know. I think she's gone up to 151. She's an obvious contender for that mares next season. Where did I go then? I kind of went back to the beginning. Yeah. Top on the Go. He ran a fine race for us in fourth, didn't he? He did. He just weren't good enough on the day, but no excuses. He's ran a blinder here. He'll make a lovely chaser next season. Maybe the type to come back for the Jack Richards next year. Copet to me, the magic horse, he weren't so magic, were he now? He was very left at the first 2, and then I kind of stopped watching him, but yeah. Performance of the week then. Okay. It was close, very close. I'm tossing up the top 2 here. I gave it to I Know the Way You're Thinking. I did. He's the Gold Cup winner. Even though galloping maybe weren't at his best, well, he weren't, but he still needed a proper horse to beat him, and this is a proper horse, you know. He's so powerful from the last to the line, and he clocked an exceptional time here, you know. He did. So you can't knock this. Yeah, you can say galloping maybe weren't at his best, but it was some performance still, you know. He'll be 8 next year, all being well, granted a fair wind, he'll take the world to beating next year, will. The second Factor File, yeah, so it would toss up between those 2 really. He was allowed to stride out and use his natural speed and jumping ability. He delivered a devastating performance, you know. Yeah, it was fantastic to watch that. Number 3, this were tricky. There were a couple I could have given it to, a few. I gave it to Bob Ollinger, I did, bless him. He's a class horse, isn't he? He is. He took down the reigning champion here at the age of 10. And there were big gap back to the third. He travelled all over the field and under a sublime ride from Rachel settled the race in a matter of strides after the last. Legend. He's a legend. Still unbeaten at Cheltenham. Yeah. Ride of the week. Right, Rachel. Very close here for Rachel, but she's won enough in her life. I could have given it her for Bob or air of entitlement, to be fair. But for the second year running, I gave it, to a jockey in the Kim Muir. I thought Barry Thomas Stone produced a ride any professional would have been proud of, on his very first ride at Cheltenham. It were perfection, this. And he chinned your man Derek O'Connor as well, for good measure, He'll have no bother picking up a ride in this next year. That was, fine ride it were. Where am I going now? Sorry, Right. I do have some other notes. I'm getting in a muddle here. Apologies. Production values as high as ever. I'll find it. Ah, here we go. Sorry. Training performance of the week. Yeah. I gave this to Barry Connell. I did, for Marine National. He's a horse that's had issues, but Barry never lost the faith in him. Many had written him off, myself included. He brought him back to the boil skillfully, and he delivered a fantastic performance on the day. Paul Nicholls, I've got to give him a mention, a big shout for Caldwell Potter as well. Yeah, that were good. He tends to find a way, doesn't he, Paul, to get one, and I thought that deserved a mention, that. So there we go. We're kind of all done for another year. A festival dominated by Willie, he 10 winners, 8 clear of the next best, who were Gavin. We landed that little bet at least. But there the predictability kind of finished, didn't it? If we look at the big races, the real big ones, like, they were wonderfully unpredictable. The Champion Hurdle, Jeremy Scott took that out. The Champion Chase, Barry Connell. The Stayers Hurdle, Bob Ollinger, bringing up a full set for Rachel. And the Gold Cup, Gavin Cromwell, he's now got a Gold Cup to go along with his Champion Hurdle trophy. He's just relentless rise through the ranks, Gavin, and he seems a lovely bloke as well. I'd say it was a week that were kind of both brutal and magical, So 2026, we'll just finish off. I'm just going to have a look through these 2026 markets and give you a little, just my thoughts on these. Get me thing. Yeah, we'll have a look through. I'll just have a skim through these and just give you my thoughts. Supreme. I wonder if that horse of Henderson's we kind of liked at the beginning of the season and we never saw it. I'd look out for him coming out in like a bumper or something. Manila Premier. Okay, we'll keep an eye out for him. Back here. It's about time Nicky had a good Supreme horse, isn't it, Sarfatel did come out the other day and won well. Travelled through the race like a class horse. Just weren't so impressed with the last sort of furlong or so. But yeah, we're not going Supreme yet. Arkle Right, this is the thing. I do have some little bets, but I will mention the ones I've had, even though we're not officially putting them up. And if one cops it does, that that's the. It's tricky. I've not made it easy for me to say how we do this, but I'll just give you my thoughts and yeah, just disregard them or do whatever, but the Arkle, I did have a little bet on 9-1 on Kopek to do the double thing, but he could end up champion hurdle. But I think he should go Arkle. Lambert, yeah, could stay hurdling still. I had a couple of points on William Money at 16s, and I were going to put him up, but now he's 12s tops. He's kind of, his target's nailed, isn't it? It is. But still, if a horse like Kopek goes there, or even, I'll have to click on the race. There's a horse. Yeah, it's 12 tops, William. This is what you're dealing with. Like a year before, and horses are getting chopped left, right, centre. Like Amsterdam, don't forget about Amsterdam. He's like 33s, but he is injured at the minute, and maybe you'd prefer to keep him over hurdles now if he's tricky to train. Which, yeah, he's probably not an ante-post proposition, that horse, but. Mares Hurdle, like I say, this is interesting, because I do believe they're going to change the conditions of this. I think they've got to. I won't mind betting that's what's going to happen. They're going to make it a grade 2. We like a £10 penalty for winning a grade 1, which would take out horses like Lossiemouth and Brighter Days Head, and it opens it up for the others. But you couldn't be definitive until you actually see what changes they make. But I won't mind chancing some of these. The problem I've got at the minute is I've kind of got a short list of 3. They'd be Woodoo, Jade Grugy, Air of Entitlement, and Cargeese. 4, sorry. Now, I need to get that down to 2, and we're in business. But they're like 8s, 8s, 12s, 12s. Nice sort of prices if you can chop them down to 2. I'd say Woodoo's going to come here. You don't know how good she is, but it's all handicap form up to now, isn't it? The other 3 mares have got sort of graded form, so I'd probably prefer them. Need to know which one out of Jade Grugy and Cargeese are coming here and which one goes chasing. I think it may be Cargeese that comes here. She's 12's best, and I'll be honest, I had a couple of points on her, but I can get out of it if I want. Air of Entitlement, Henry's got a great record in this. Yeah, it's like, if we kind of knew J Degrees were going chasing, I think I'd back Cargeese and Air Entitlement. I'd put them up here on a sheet at 12s, and we'd back both of them, and I think I'd be happy with that. But you couldn't discount this Woodoo either, you couldn't. And the champion hurdle, look, I'm going to be on Lossiemouth, I am, and I'll probably put her up at some point. I think that 8s is kind of stand out at, let me check. But I've got some bias with this horse, so bear that in mind. Yeah, the 8s is stand out at Ladbrokes and Coles. I can't get on there, and that's way bigger than everywhere else. It's like 6's best elsewhere. So I can't get on her, but I think if I could get 8s, I'd probably have a little on her. But yeah, I mean, you've got horses in it. The New Lion, yeah. I'd probably take on Constitutional again, but the New Lion, I won't put anyone off him. Kopek, I think Kopek's got a good chasing. I do. I mean, and to be fair, Stateman's a massive price here. That's the only thing we lost him off. Paul will probably be on Stateman, I think Lossiemouth will have to go champion because of the changing conditions for the mares. But I mean, in truth, he should be going for a hat trick next year, shouldn't he? So, you know. But anyway, I'm rambling a bit, aren't I? And it's an hour and a half here, but I said it was going to be a long one. The Browns' Final Demand, yeah, look, I've said plenty about him. I love him for this, I do. I think he's going to be a monster next season, I do, over fences. The Yellow Clay beat him, and you've got the Yellow Clay and Jasmine. You'd have to respect both of them, particularly the Yellow Clay. I mean, Final Demand, put it this way, if they all ran in that Moriarty, you know, I mean, Final Demand, like, smashed up Jasmine already. So he'd likely do again in Ireland if they ran in that race. The Yellow Clay, it kind of seems like an hurdler to me, but we'll see. But yeah, I love Final Demand, I do. I like the fact that that's his target. He's not going anywhere else, and I think he's going to be a monster next year, I do. Champion Chase, it's very hard because, I mean, Sergino, if Sergino comes back to himself, you know, he'll win. He'll just win. He will. But we don't know, do we? We've got no idea until we see Sergino if he's still going to be the same Sergino. So I don't know. Like I say, I wouldn't be shocked if Vatafall came here. I think he's more likely Ryanair, but he could come here. I wouldn't put you off even a little bit of change on him at like 16's best price. Majborough, yeah, Marine Nationals looks overpriced at top 8s, I'd say. But I haven't done anything with that race. Then Thursday, Bambino 4s, yeah, can't go there, can we? Vatafall 3s, no, we won't be certain to line up there. But Shortiny. Stayers Hurdle, this is fascinating, this race, I think. Because there's a few in here. Well, two really, possible. I'd say 2.5. Ballyburn's here. He's the half. You know, he could go back hurdling because he's not jumping so well, is he? Won't be quite sure about him at the trip, but his class may well just get him home, I guess. Jasmine DeVoe just looks absolutely perfect to me for this, but probably go chasing, you know, I don't know. And the other one would be the Yellow Clay. You know, these are both 14's top price. Like I said, I did have a couple of points on Jasmine. The Yellow Clay doesn't really look like a chaser either to me, and I'd say of the two, if I mean, you'd have to say the Yellow Clay second would be better form than Jasmine's winning the Albert Bartlett, I'd say. But if any of these two stay over hurdles and you knew they were going to this race, I'd be happy to take 5s, I would, you know, if just one of them were going. So they're very tempting at them prices, but and I meant to say at the beginning before we started looking at these 2026 prices, the thing that makes it so hard nowadays is when you look at the amount of winners Willie's had there, 10, you know, and it could have been more. He's just getting more and more dominant, and he's got so many horses that he can just shuffle about, you know, he's got so many cards to shuffle, and that's what's making it so difficult. It is. I mean, look at these Bears Chase, say. We've got Dino Blue favourite, Spindlebury, J. de Grugy. You look at any of these big races, and Willie's got loads, and you don't know where he's going with him, and that's why it's so difficult. It is, you know. Yeah, but yeah, I like all of it. Yeah. Cheltenham Gold Cup, I know the way you're thinking, 5-1. I had a little bit on that, just a little bit, but I'm not putting him up. And I had a small bit on. Sorry, a big price one. Spillane's Tower at 50s. I couldn't resist just a bit of change on him, you know. We were right with that John Durkin, weren't we, beginning of the season. I mean, you know, it produced the Savills winner, the Irish Gold Cup winner, the Gold Cup winner, and the Ryanair winner. And we've not finished yet, you know. Spillane's Tower and a massive race. I'm intrigued to see where he goes. He's a serious horse. I know the way you're thinking to me. Yeah, I think fives is more than fair. The problem you've got, and a little bit as well, is just the timing. Where it's all about timing, isn't it? And like Final Demand as well, he could come out to Punchestown and get beat and end up like 8s or 10s. That could quite easily happen. This horse as well, although I think 5-1's a fair price, I think if he does go to Punchestown, you know, that's kind of like a speed track. I don't think it'd suit. I can see him getting turned over there. If he goes the same programme as last year, John Durkin, Savills Irish Gold Cup, he'll get beat in the John Durkin. So, you know, by Christmas time, you could be looking at double figures, you know. Certainly like 8s anyway. So, although 5s looks decent now, you know, you could get double the price if you're patient. So, there's no need to rush in really with these, you know. Which is why we've been a bit more patient with it this year. Up to now, all we've got 1 point on Choyus, haven't we, at 50s. I don't mind that, you know. It's a bit of a wild one, but I don't mind it. And we've got 5 points on Final Demand at 6s. And to be honest, we might have gone a bit early there as well. But that's like my kind of ante-post nap, if you like. So I got on him. Like I say, gets beat at Punchestown, goes out to 8s, we'll chuck another 3 points on him. Okay. So there you go. That's the lot. Okay. So our national horse kind of went wrong and won the Gold Cup, didn't he? So he's not there anymore. Our reserve national horse is Iroko. We were on him at 14s. I'll have another look at that race. I know Percy's there, isn't he? Percy Well, it's kind of all handicap form. I think you need that grade 1 form. I'll have a bit of change on him for my own sanity because I've loved the horse this year, but in truth, I think there may be 1 or 2 with a bit more class, you know. But I've got to be on him a little bit. I couldn't watch him with nothing on. I like Iroko, I do, as things stand. You know, he came runner-up, didn't he? So I know the way you're thinking in the Grade 1 at Aintree last year. 3rd that day were Hartwood as well. The form's turned out pretty good, hasn't it? You know, he's been trained all season for this. They're very good. You know, it's a good outfit. This is why JP's giving them the horses. He's giving them the ammo because they're not missing. Like, you know, they took out the Martin Pike with Iroko. They took out the plate, didn't they, with Jaguar, and they've been training him all season for the Nationals. So I'm quite keen on Iroko, I am. But I'll do an Aintree like preview. We'll have a Fairy House one, we'll have a Punchestown one, and then we'll just like have an end of the season one where we wrap it all up. Okay. Right. So thanks for your time then. It's been a long one. I do appreciate it if you made it this far. All the best, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.